Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through. For those of you that don't know, although most of you probably do, my name is Priscilla and I am the Queen of the Ring. People say to me all the time, Priscilla, why aren't you wrestling in more places? And I wish that I had an easy answer for you, but the truth of the matter is there's just so many places to choose from. I go to the London School of Lucha Libre, but frankly, darlings, I'm not going to put 3 hours of work into this face only to cover it up with a mask. I would love to work for All Star, but I'm not old nor bitter enough to work for them yet. And I would love to work for Progress, but frankly, darlings, the only thing progressive about me is the syphilis. Now, those of you who know about Priscilla know that I wrestled up north for a good few years, and many people ask me, Priscilla, why don't you contact PCW? Preston City Wrestling is one of the top wrestling companies in the British wrestling scene, and we have been in talks many a time about using Priscilla on shows. The reason Priscilla doesn't wrestle for PCW is choice. I mean, it's not my choice, but it's still a choice. But I get asked about it all the time, and today I thought it would only be fair to explain to you, the fans, why Priscilla will never work for PCW. Now, it all centres around a time that I was wrestling for a bitty company all the way up in Leeds, Yorkshire. I was scheduled to go on first in a tag team contest, and I was looking forward to it because I had heard that the Preston City Wrestling promoter, Stephen Fludder, was going to be in attendance watching on. This was my big moment, darlings. Now, my tag team partner was a trainee. One of my opponents had broken his foot in 3 places the night before, and the hard bastard wasn't even wearing any shoes, darlings. And his tag team partner decided that it wasn't important to turn up to the show on time. May I remind you that we were on first. So I'm getting a little bit nervous about this, but the promoter assures me it's absolutely fine, Priscilla, because you boys are going to be going on a little bit later on the card, and to make things a bit easier, I'm going to come out and cut a sickening promo to start the show. What preceded was a 45-minute monologue as the audience tried to work out if they had actually paid to see a wrestling show or if instead they were just going to be subjected to a middle-aged man complaining about his terrible hair. During this diatribe, my other opponent found it in his heart to actually turn up. So when the promoter came backstage, he said, "Good job, boys, you're out first," which is fantastic because I hadn't even got my gear on at this stage. So I'm throwing on my leotard, trying to get myself ready, while my music is already playing and I'm having to sprint out and act as though I know what the hell is going on. Well, Priscilla, what the hell did go on, I hear you ask? Well, don't worry, darlings, I'm about to tell you. So we step out to the ring, and I'm trying to play it cool, like anything that's happening is actually going to plan. As soon as the bell rings, me and my opponent do the honourable thing of beating our opponents like they're a bunch of eggs. We both take off the ropes like a pair of daring superheroes. And like a pair of wily roadrunners, those two drop the bottom rope so that as we run at them, we both go sailing over to the floor. Or at least I think that was the plan, because for me, I missed my hand on the apron and instead of going sailing to the floor, my face went sailing into the apron. Which, as we all know, darlings, is the hardest part of the ring. Now, typically speaking, when flesh meets metal, metal tends to win, and so my mouth was split on the inside from the middle all the way up to the far side of my jaw. I was bleeding profusely, and yes, it did create a bloody kind of smile, which with my makeup did make me look a little bit like the Joker. But I can assure you, darlings, the joke was on me. Because as this match continues, I'm laying in the shots, bleeding all around the place, trying to work out how I can scrape this back to something at least somewhat savable, when all of a sudden the audience starts erupting into laughter. And I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, have they worked out that Stephen Fludder is a big deal and that I'm actually so much better than the bullshit I'm having to deal with? And they're trying to do me a favour by showing a lot of support to me so that Stephen says, ah yes, Priscilla, you're the one that I want to book on a show. Well, that was what was going through my mind anyway, and I thought I'm gonna roll with it. So I tag out and very professionally, just like Hogan, get out of the ring and start trying to steal everybody's heat by getting all the eyes on me. Picture this. So I've got all the kids sat down in the front row and I'm stood up there high above them, strutting my stuff, grinding and gyrating away, going, yes, you like this? And all they're doing is clapping and cheering and jeering, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I am so over. This is amazing. So I'm strutting my way up and down the room. I walk up to the bar and I go to the bar lady, hey bitch, cool. This is getting a response, isn't it? To which the bar lady says to me, your bollocks out. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Right, I'll just tuck that back in. Okay, ta-da! And now we're family friendly once again, back to the PG era. But of course, there is no pop. See, I thought I was doing really well, but it turns out that I had just flooded the whole thing up. Now you might say, oh, but Priscilla, these things happen, and frankly, everywhere you go, you get amazing reviews, so I'm sure Stephen wouldn't be too bothered. And that's a very sweet thought, but frankly, darlings, I've won enough fan votes now to know that that story is gonna stick with me. It doesn't matter how many times I outsell everybody else on the show on the merch table. It doesn't matter how many times I get seen on BBC primetime television. Nor does it matter how many times I make it to the front page of newspapers. At the end of the day, when Stephen Fludder sees this mug, the only thing that he sees is a hairy bollock. And let's face it, darlings, he books Dave Rain long enough to know that that shit just don't get over. So when lockdown lifts and PCW is asking you, the fans, who you want to see at the next PCW show, don't waste your breath and vote for Priscilla, because we all know where that's going. But don't worry, darlings, it's not all doom and gloom. I wanted to thank each and every person who's bought themselves a QWO t-shirt in the last couple of months. It has been pretty special for me to see the amount of people supporting the Queer World Order message, and it's pretty cool that we were able to raise a fair bit of money for a good cause. Just like Stevie Richards said in the BWO, we're taking over! But I told you, darlings, that there would be more QWO merchandise coming, and I do not disappoint. Because it is now time for the grand unveiling of the new limited edition, shiny edition QWO t-shirt. And here it is, darlings. It's the shiny edition QWO t-shirt, available for a limited time only. And yes, it does come with the classic Priscilla attitude on the back. Now don't worry, if you are a little bitch, you can order one without the word bitch on the back. You can now purchase your shiny edition of the QWO t-shirt from www.onthegear.co.uk. But before you go to onthegear.co.uk to buy your limited edition t-shirt, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can continue to get regular editions of Disappointment. And remember, whatever you do, do not tell PCW to book Priscilla. Thank you.